People lost their minds trying to read this, and some still do. Alchemical symbols aren't just strange drawings. They're traps, codes, layers of meaning hidden inside ink, myth, and fire. For the outsider, they seem absurd, triangles, circles, dragons eating themselves. But for the initiated, they form a language, one that speaks to the mind and whispers to something deeper. This is not chemistry. This is transformation, not of metal, but of the soul. But you can't just read these symbols. You have to survive them. So, if you're ready to see what was never meant to be clear, this is your guide. Let's begin. In medieval Europe, alchemy was dangerous, not just because it challenged religious doctrine, but because it claimed to access divine power, turning lead into gold, resurrecting the dead, finding immortality. Those weren't metaphors to the church. They were heresies. So alchemists hid their knowledge, not in vaults, but in symbols. They wrote in riddles, in strange glyphs and multi-layered metaphors. Only those who had passed through the first stages of transformation would understand. Why? Because knowledge without preparation leads to madness. You don't hand a sword to a child, and you don't explain the structure of the soul to someone who hasn't faced their own shadow. The symbols were a filter. If they didn't confuse you, you weren't ready. And if you forced your way in, you paid the price. Let's start with the simplest symbol, the circle. It's everywhere in alchemy. Sometimes alone, sometimes with a dot, sometimes divided, square, doubled. To the average eye, it means nothing. But the circle represents totality, eternity, the divine infinite. It has no beginning and no end. It's unity, now at a dot in the center. That becomes a circumpunct, the symbol of the sun, of divine light, of gold. And in alchemy, gold wasn't just a metal. It was a symbol of perfection, the goal of the great work. So when you see a circle in an alchemical text, you're not looking at geometry. You're looking at the soul's mirror. And that's where it begins. Because once a symbol reflects you, it starts to change you. No symbol in alchemy is more slippery or more dangerous than mercury. To the average chemist, mercury is a liquid metal, poisonous, mysterious, hard to contain. To the alchemist, it's the essence of transformation. Mercury is the spiritus, the messenger between realms, the connector of opposites, male and female, fixed and volatile, matter and spirit. Its symbol is a fusion of the circle, spirit, the cross, matter, and the crescent, soul, a trinity. But it also represents Hermes, the trickster god, the god of secrets, of the hidden road. In Latin, he's Mercurius. In the text, he's sometimes called the guide, other times the deceiver, because Mercury dissolves boundaries. And if you follow him unprepared, he dissolves you. Every alchemist knew this phrase, solviti coagula, dissolve and coagulate, break it apart, then bind it back, stronger, purer. This wasn't just about substances. It was about identity. The great work begins with solve, the dissolution of everything false. Your ego, your illusions, your beliefs. It is violent, uncomfortable, terrifying. The alchemical symbol for this process is often the Ouroboros, the dragon eating its own tail. Why? Because destruction and creation are one. Because the path forward is through yourself, your fear, your madness. Only after the dissolve comes the coagula, the reformation, a new self, a new mind. But if you don't survive the first phase, there's no second. Many didn't. Legends say the philosopher's stone could turn lead into gold, cure all diseases, grant eternal life. But in the deepest alchemical writings, it was never a stone. It was a state of being, a fusion of opposites, a balance between fire and water, sun and moon, masculine and feminine. Its symbols are impossible by design. A square inside a circle, a triangle within a hexagram, the red king embracing the white queen. The point wasn't to represent it. It was to break your mind trying. Because only when the rational fails does the true alchemy begin. You don't find the philosopher's stone. You become it. And for that, everything that isn't real, and you must die. Here's the part they don't tell you. Alchemical symbols don't only work through logic, they work through the subconscious. Carl Jung called alchemy the dream language of the soul. He saw it as a map of inner transformation. Every stage, every substance, every glyph, a reflection of the psyche. So when you read these symbols, you're not just decoding ideas. You're activating parts of your mind that don't use language. You're touching the archetypes. You're opening doors you didn't know were there. This is why many who studied too deeply fractured. They thought it was intellectual, but it was spiritual, emotional, molecular. Alchemy isn't safe. It never was. But for those who feel its symbols, who endure the dissolve, who survive the madness, something awakens, and that something never forgets. Here's the part they don't tell you. Alchemical symbols don't only work through logic, they work through the subconscious. Carl Jung called alchemy the dream language of the soul. He saw it as a map of inner transformation. Every stage, every substance, every glyph, a reflection of the psyche. So when you read these symbols, you're not just decoding ideas. You're activating parts of your mind that don't use language. You're touching the archetypes. You're opening doors you didn't know were there. This is why many who studied too deeply fractured. They thought it was intellectual, but it was spiritual, emotional, molecular. Alchemy isn't safe. It never was. But for those who feel its symbols, who endure the dissolve, who survive the madness, something awakens, and that something never forgets. You wanted a guide. This was it. Now, you know why the texts are hidden, why the symbols are strange, why the drawings feel more like dreams and diagrams. Because they are. Alchemy isn't a myth. It's a mirror. It reflects back what you carry inside, then burns away what shouldn't be there. Led into gold? Yes, but only by fire. So if you continue, don't read too fast. Don't decode without respect. And above all, don't forget the warning written in every true alchemical manuscript. What is above is like what is below, and what is within may consume you. Good luck, seeker.